You are not prepared.
You are not prepared!
Welcome back to World of Warcraft Resurrected. I'm Chris,
And this is Brandon.
and we're live on YouTube. The first time I'm trying this out, so I hope it works. If not, the video will be uploaded later, and you get to see me and him both because we are on camera. We got a different background, so you can't really see my hand waving very good, but our fingers are, it's like Back to the Future when Marty's hand was disappearing. Yeah, anyways. So, let's start talking about what we've been doing in the game. What have you been doing in the game?
Let's see. Man, I really took a big break there for a couple, 2 or 3 days. Had some other stuff I was doing. Christmas is getting close and all that good stuff. So, other than that, let's see. I did play the mage a little bit, working on him. I'm gonna get this pull down for slave pins. I got to get it done. So, I'm working on it a little bit. We did. Let's see what else did I do. On the Warlock, I did Mags and Gruels and Kara.
Yeah.
Kara. I did Kara. Mags and Gruels, that was earlier in the weekend, but I did Kara last night.
Yeah.
Friday.
I went with you, and I was falling asleep, so guess what? I bailed.
Yeah.
Man, we got to Curator, and during the Curator fight, and did we fight Nightbane? I think about half through the fight of Nightbane, I was just starting to nod off. I barely remember Nightbane. I barely remember Curator, because all I know is every time I hit Curator, he was immune.
Yeah, we did.
So
we did all the.
I mainly hit the sparks when I was awake, and then I was like, I gotta go. I'm no good. I'm just falling asleep.
Yeah, it was a good run. I mean, we downed everything like we were supposed to. But of course, yeah, you fell asleep. You were falling asleep on Curator. After Curator, we picked up. I want to say it was another shaman.
Yeah.
Yeah, we picked up a shaman, and they finally put me in the group with the shaman with my warlock, so I could have, so I could have work. Yeah, it was great then. But we went ahead after Curator. We went ahead and fought. Now we did something different on Netherspite. I'd never done it this way before, but we did something different on Netherspite this time. Instead of running out when he phases out, like I took all of the green beam or all of the blue beam with my warlock, drain life the entire time, and hit him with the Curse of Doom right towards the end of it. So I had all the stacks, which may be pretty powerful. And then we had, of course, our other warlock that was with us. He just went ahead and did the same thing. But instead of running to like the windows or the wall, we went ahead and stayed near him. Well, if you stay near him, the tanks are going to have pretty much aggro from the red beam, and then they can still keep the aggro. He doesn't hit everybody since when he does that nether breath, it's a frontal attack. So as long as you're not in front of him, it's not going to hit you. And if you let the tank get the aggro through the phase there, he's only going to hit mainly the tank or maybe one or two other people. It's not going to hit everyone, so it's pretty easy to heal through. So we just stayed on him the whole time through the phases. We didn't run to the window or the wall, and it seemed to go down pretty quick. So we just stayed in. It seemed like the fight was half the time. He didn't even make it out of his second. Maybe he did make it out of his second banish, but barely made out of his second banish before we killed him. I was going into my my second time being in the blue beam, and he was dead. So yeah, it went pretty quick, and that's the first time I'd ever done it that way. We one-shot every boss that we went through. A lot of us were on alts, so it's getting to. I think Kara's just getting to where it's kind of like a heroic dungeon.
I'm ready for them to just start dropping badges.
Oh yeah,
I want my stinking badges.
For sure. And once they start, I mean, if they just start dropping badges right now, it'd be a lot of fun.
I'd be doing it all 3 of my characters.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
That's when, I mean, because you're going to get badges
4.
from all of it. So.
Sorry, I have 4 tunes.
And you're going to get 2 badges from, like, what? Prince, Netherspite, probably Nightbane? 2 badges.
Curator, because he has tier also. I think they said the 2 that dropped the tier and Nightbane. I think.
Okay. So Curator, Prince, and
Don't
Nightbane
quote
probably.
me. Because if
that
was the way it was, it could still change.
But I mean, in hell, it could be just Curator and just Prince. Might not even be Nightbane, but I figured Nightbane because he's the last boss of the place.
Yeah, that's why I said Nightbane. I can't remember. I do know it was the 2 tier piece ones. I could be wrong. I don't know.
And yes, I know we're live. People can see it. Yes, it's 420. Sorry.
Yeah.
But no, we've been having a lot of fun. The guild's slowly getting there with SSC. We're making progress as far as getting people in and stuff like that. So here in the future, probably I want to say within the next month, within the next month or so, you'll hear us start talking about SSC as well, because we're going to start running that. We're just slowly getting our guild together, and since they removed some stuff they removed the attunement from SSC and things like that.
We're going to get a lot more people. Probably.
Yeah, a lot more people can get in.
And hopefully TK.
Yeah, I did. I really want to hit TK because I want the Ashes of Alar.
I just want to at least go in there. Come on. I don't think I've ever seen TK.
The first couple of pools are crazy. It's like 5 and 6 things at a time until you get to Alar. And it can get pretty hairy, but all in fun. It's just like the pools from SSC. If you can do SSC and get the pools down, you can go into TK and probably get the pools down as well. It just takes a little bit of practice, like we had to have in SSC. So yeah, we'll be talking about that pretty soon, and hopefully getting it up and going. We got some things in the works. Trying to get it, making it better. Wanting to go live with stuff and start doing some live things. So we're slowly trying to get there.
We're wanting to stream, but we keep forgetting. I'm horrible about remembering to start streaming, playing the game. Hopefully after we get through with this, then I will go live and do rep runs. Because I have decided that I'm going to do my paladin, and because it's hard to find a tank anymore. It's just really hard to find a tank. So I'm like, well, I love playing my tank. And so you know what? Because before, tanks were a dime a dozen, and so you can always find a tank. And I can never play my tank because there's always a tank on doing stuff. So it kind of killed me playing my tank. Now you can't find a tank playing or wanting to do all those runs. Me, I like helping people out, and I need stinking badges. So guess what? I'm just going to bring my paladin back and start tanking stuff. And he's well over the defense cap, so I need to actually swap out spell power gear so he can start keeping threat a little bit better, because they can pull so easy off of me right now. It's not even funny.
I just don't even know who I would bring on any of those runs.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was hoping you'd be closer to 65 so we can start doing lower cities stuff, but oh well.
If I can get this pull down, I can be 65 in a couple of days.
Yeah.
It's just really the pull. Really, I want to have Ice Lance, and you don't get that until 66. But I think at 60, right now I'm 61. I'm thinking a couple more levels. Probably about 63 is I think where I'll feel comfortable actually doing the whole slave pins run by myself.
You could practice on Maz. You don't
Yeah,
have
I
to
need
be a
to.
gnome. You
I
don't
want to
have be a
practice.
gnome.
I know.
And if you practice on Maz, you can level up yours by just
I
doing
need to do that.
Yep. So, anyways, what I've been doing in game is just mainly what he's will say. We've just been running bags and gruels and stuff like that, and really, I haven't done much because it's Christmas time. I work at a place that requires a lot of my time, and so when I get home, I'm tired. And like we were saying a while ago, I was about to pass out 8 o'clock last night. I was literally falling asleep at the computer. Wasn't no help at all, so like, dude, I gotta go. And I went to bed at 8:15 last night.
He did do that.
Which I always go to bed at 10 o'clock or after, so it was really weird for me to go to bed at 8 o'clock. So, anyways, other than that, really haven't done anything. But me and a couple of guildmates are in the talks of a new podcast. So, that's in the works. Stay tuned, and hopefully we'll have something pretty soon about that. It's going to start after the first of the year, and either I'll have more information or I'll have the announcement, pretty soon. So, are you ready to move on to news?
News.
All right.
This just in.
Actually, we're going to go back to... No, don't want to go that... They actually released... Last week we were talking about the male warlock, Incubus. And they actually have the model pictures posted up. So you can go on Wowhead News and see that.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
And then Winter Veil Holiday is live. It started, 3 days ago?
Yep.
Introduces the Clockwork Rocket Bot. 100% drop from the Winter Veil gift under the tree at Ogremar. So that won't be available till Christmas Day.
Yeah, the 25th.
Then Blowing a Kiss to Winter Veilers now has a chance to reward 5 times a handful of snowflakes. Which, if you use it, it showers a nearby target with a cascade of snowflakes. Then a red winter hat and a green winter hat now drop off specific bosses in some TBC Classic dungeons as well as Old World. And I've got a red winter hat already.
Yep, everybody's got one but me.
Yeah. Anyways. But the 25th, it'll have, I think, 5 or maybe 6 gifts that we can open. Or no, back then it was only like 3 or 4, wasn't it? Back in TBC.
Yeah. It should probably, I think you get like 3. 1, 3, something like that. And then every year it added 1 more to it.
Up until it got to 6, and then every year it's just 6
Yeah.
now. Yeah. And there's little guides on that online that I think you can go kill not Rudolph, but whatever the reindeer, or go kill the Yeti.
Yeah, you gotta kill a Yeti.
Yeah, so anyway, or to rescue the reindeer and kill the Yeti. Yeah, I need to get that right. Sorry about that. Alright, now I'm going to go to Kelthos Gate, open inside Tempest Keep, and zoning inside saves players through Raid ID and Burning Shade Classic. They fixed it. Because players have come to learn that the gate to Kelthos is open inside Tempest Keep, the Eye, and zoning into the raid will save you to that ID. They fixed it where players need to be careful when zoning in to avoid being saved to an incorrect raid ID. Otherwise, they might be locked out of joining their raid group this reset. As for Serpent Shrine Cavern, the bridge to Lady Vosh is not opened after zoning in, which was the case in the public test room. But they released a hot blue post. Fixed an issue where players would be saved to Tempest Keep before defeating any bosses. And Tempest Keep and Serpent Shrine Cavern now in their post-nerf state, the original Burning Crusade version 2.4.3, and are now much easier to complete. Attunements are no longer required to gain entry to Tempest Keep and Serpent's Cavern. Later bosses Bridge Console and Serpent's Cavern can now be activated without having to defeat any other bosses. And the doorway to Kel'Thas Sunstrider's room is now immediately open without needing to defeat other bosses.
For people who've already done it, and we're just on those last, like the last couple of bosses. Now they can just go in there and hit Lady Vash and hit Kel'Thas, or the last two bosses or whatever. They don't have to clear all the way to get to the end now. So that does help some of those 8 out of 10s that were lurking that hadn't quite completed it. So that'll help them out. I mean, it helps us out for sure. Not that we're there or anything, but I mean, making the instance easier.
Oh yeah, they did down the water guy the other night. Hydros, thank you. I was saying it earlier and then totally forgot. All right, you want to talk about first aid classic post nerf clarifications for tier 6 and Sunwell Plateau? Or do you have that?
Post nerf clarifications.
There, I just posted it.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
All right. A forum thread posted by a user by the name of Fat Nerd XO asking about post-nerf status of some tier 6 bosses. Blizzard community manager Kvax responded to clear up some confusion as well as share some extra information regarding the Sunwell Plateau. So the original post was seeking clarification on a couple of things I've observed in T6 raids on the PTR so far. Hydro Trash is currently dropping Hearts of Dark. This didn't happen until patch 2.2. Will this be the case when this goes live? Mother Shiraz is using the post-nerf version of Prismatic Aura. The version of Prismatic Aura we get will determine the strategy for this boss. It's post-nerf Prismatic Aura intended? Edit. There's an edit on it. Mother Shiraz is using the nerfed version of Fatal Attraction. The pre-nerf version is supposed to do 3k per tick per person from the first tick. Currently, the first 2 ticks are only doing 1k per tick per person. Is this intended? So Blizzard did clarify. To clarify, there weren't many adjustments made after these raids released in the original Burning Crusade, other than a few minor tweaks and bug fixes. Therefore, the versions of the raid encounters we're testing on the PTR are the only versions we intend to release, and we do not intend to make adjustments later. It's also probably worth acknowledging here, we are working on providing pre-nerf and post-nerf versions of Sunwell Plateau raid. We like the concept and intend to return to it after tier 6. So it sounds to me like they're kind of already nerfed if they're not using because he kind of.
At first when I was reading this, I was thinking, well, they kind of nerfed it in the PTR so people can kill it and make sure everything's dropping correctly. But I don't know. After what they said, it kind of makes me wonder.
Well, it almost like he goes back on himself because he says there weren't many adjustments made after these raids released in the original Burning Crusade, other than minor tweaks and bug fixes. Then he comes back on that next post and says, we're working on providing pre-nerf and post-nerf versions of the Sunwell Plateau raid. So maybe they're only, because he wasn't talking about Sunwell Plateau, I don't think. He was talking about Mount Hyjal. Yeah. So he wasn't talking about.
They were too specific about what they were talking about.
True.
On the first post.
Yeah.
So, but we'll just, like we said, we always have to wait and see because everything could change from now until it gets released. So. This
is true. In 24 hours, they could say, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Oh, they could release it and next day take it back. So you never know. All right. Burning Crusade Classic Public Test Realm back online. But there's an update to that somebody will mention in just a minute. Black Temple and the Battle for Mount Hyjal are again available for testing. This week's raid test will run through the weekend and the PTR will be shut down on Monday at noon. There have been significant changes to back-end systems that affect how data is exchanged between the client and the server in this week's PTR build. Issues arising from this update can manifest in myriad ways, and we encourage all players participating in this week's PTR raid testing to use the in-game bug reporter, default hotkey F6, to report any strange or abnormal behavior that is noticed when interacting with creatures in the game world, objects in the game world, your character and its abilities, your inventory, or any other game system. They did put some bug fixes, fixed an issue in the Reliquaries of Souls encounter where the essence of suffering will not always properly apply the aura of suffering. They fixed an issue where Alliance NPCs pass incorrectly and do not assist in combat in a battle for Mount Hyjal. They fixed an issue in the Terran Gornfiend encounter where players were unable to die while afflicted by the Shadow Death debuff. And they also fixed an issue where parasitic Shadow Fiend adds would not properly despawn after Illidan's Storm Rage encounter ends.
So, Burning Crusade Classic PTR offline until next week. Blizzard has shut down the Burning Crusade Classic PTR ahead of schedule, stating that they will communicate when there will be further testing next week. Players were experiencing constant crashes, disconnects, and server stability issues, and is likely the reason Blizzard wants to take it down and address these issues before putting it back online. And Blizzard says, at this time, we're taking the PTR back offline. We'll let you know as soon as we have a time frame for further testing next week. Now, I did find a blue post here, and there are a few things that it says. Here's what we got. 2.5.3 PTR offline for critical fixes at 3:30 Central Eastern Time on the 18th of December. Black Temple and that was 8:31. So at 1:51 they said Black Temple and Battle for Mount Hyjal are again available for testing. This week's raid test will run through the weekend, and the PTR will be shut down on Monday at 2100 Central Eastern this time CET. And there have been significant changes, and of course we talked about that. It affected how things would go. So that was at 1:51 that they said that, and then they came back at 8:31 on the same day. Same day, and they took them offline. So I think, from what I read, I did some snooping. Let me find it. I'll tell you. Okay, yesterday at 7:05 p.m., right before it went down, there was a guild that said our raid was able to figure out the cause of client crashes on PTR currently. Everyone within combat log range of someone who is casting a channeled spell that doesn't have an explicit target causes everyone to immediately crash. Spells that does this include Mage Table, Warlock Summons, Warlock Soulstone, Druid Hurricane, Hunter Volley, and Druid Tranquility. We have tested all of these, and they crash everyone besides the caster 100% of the time, every time. And a blue came on and said, thanks everyone, we are looking into this now. Unclear if we'll be able to get it resolved tonight or not at this point, but we are actively working. That was at 7:36. 8:24 they came on and said, it's looking unlikely we are going to be able to solve this tonight. This plus another few crashes where we've discovered are likely to make raid testing pretty difficult, so we are likely going to be shutting PTR down shortly, and we'll be looking to reschedule our raid test for a later date. For what it's worth, this is the result of some of the back-end changes we made that we alluded to in our, their development notes for this week. This was a pretty large under-the-hood change, and these issues are the exact kind of thing we were hoping we'd catch with a PTR. Obviously, would have preferred it to not be there or on the server, or not be this severe, but they're glad to have the data reports in any case. We intensely appreciate your help, however, and please enjoy your week. And then it says, hello, I'm hijacking the title of this thread to make it as clear as possible that the PTR is offline. Have a good weekend. And that was Cavern, which is the community manager. The Agrind was he's a game producer, but Cavern is the community manager, and he said, yes, the PTR is offline right now. You're not going to be able to play. So I guess they had the changes, like he said, the changes that they made on the back end. Looks like it really hurt them.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll get it figured out and get the PTR back up next week. So.
Yeah, because I mean, I think I might want to check the PTR out just to check this new stuff out. If it's like,
yeah,
go give it a go. Anyways, I love Mount Hyjal. But yeah, it looks like they'll get everything fixed there, and I guess they'll go from there.
All right, so I think we're done with the news. So we have talked about, since we finished everything, bringing back everything that we had talked about in the other podcast at the end, that we're now going to go back and talk about Cavern. Now, a lot of people are not playing it right now because it's too easy. We still go there because, of course, alts and everything else. But people are going to be going back to it when the badges are getting dropped in there. So we figured we would talk about it anyways. Even though it's kind of easy, but a lot of people, there might still be a few people still having problems. And some people are actually making second and third and fourth teams going through there. So, and we like Kara. So we're going to talk about, I think we're going to talk about Toonman the Huntsman. We're going to talk about Morose and Maiden.
Let me see here.
I thought we were going to talk about, yeah, that's it. Those three. And then next week we're going to talk about the 3 opera events. And possibly Curator. We haven't decided yet. This all depends on how long it goes.
Yeah, for real.
Alright, so when you go into Caravan, either A, you got to be attuned for it and has a key, or B, somebody in your group has to open the door. And or somebody has to be there, period, opening the door. Doesn't even have to be in your group. Somebody has to open up the door and then you can go in. So once you go in, a lot of people go forward and to the left, or some very little people go up to the right, the stairs. A lot of people want to try to get the mount, so they go to the left or go to the stables. Now, Toonman the Huntsman is back there. You start it by attacking Midnight, and when Midnight reaches 95% health, a Toonman will spawn near Midnight. So it's always good to have 2 tanks, one taking Midnight, and then once a Toonman pops up, the other tank gets a Toonman. So you have a tank grab each one, positioning them on top of each other but facing away from the raid to avoid the shadow cleave. Everyone except the tanks can stack directly behind the mobs in melee range in preparation for phase 3. Hunters can be at minimum range, meaning they need to be just a little further away, but right when they can hit that sweet spot of still being able to shoot. But if they step forward just a little bit, that means they can't shoot. So they gotta be in that little sweet spot of just being just barely far enough where they can still shoot. And focus DPS on Midnight while passively cleaving attunement. Mages and druids remove intangible presence from tanks immediately, followed by DPS. And then phase 3 begins when either attunement or Midnight reaches 25% health. So that means everybody stays on attunement or everybody stays on Midnight. If you got everybody split up between them both, it's going to take forever to get one of them to 25% health. Not both of them, but one of them to 25% health. And then once one of them gets 25% health, they merge into one boss with HP of the highest one from the previous phase. So if you do split up the DPS, if one's got 30 and the other one has 25, the highest DPS is at 30%. So that's what you'll start with in this phase. The only reason you don't want to do that is because when you're DPSing 2 bosses, you're going to likely be out of mana. So, mages and druids still remove intangible presence curse from tanks immediately, followed by DPS. Everyone except the main tank stacks directly behind the boss in melee range to avoid berserker charge. And again, hunters can be at minimum range. Now, some notes: clear all horse trash before pulling the boss. If you leave anything, they're going to come with it. You can reset the fight by running back to the entrance hall. So once you leave the stable area, you can reset it. Like if the 2 tanks go down, it's going to be a wipe. Everybody just runs. Warriors should use spell reflection on intangible presence and disarm on attunement. Aggro completely resets when every phase begins. Hunters should avoid misdirection then. Now, and also there's a repair vendor right in the area right behind the boss. There's 2 packs right around the guy that's green, and he repairs. But you have to be honored with the violet eye. We're not going to tell you the loot tables on all the bosses anymore.
We'll tell you that he does drop the fiery warhorse range, though. He
drops the schematic, engineering schematic for a Eternium scope and the fiery warhorse reins, which is the Attunement of Huntsman's steed.
Yeah, if there's something worth mentioning, I think, we might mention it, or something that is really good. We might mention it, but we're not going to mention everything.
Every one of those could be long, so yeah. All right, Brandon will talk about
Morose.
Yay.
Well, before getting to Morose, after you kill him, you come back to the beginning of the instance and you go up the stairs. Once you get to the top of the stairs, there's a courtyard right there. And there's dance. It's like a dance hall, I guess. And there's dancers all in there. Some of them are elite groups, and others are non-elite groups. There are some elites that pad around as well. What you'll want to do is you want to pull the non-elite groups, AoE them down. Pull the regular, just single elite guys one by one. Kill them as fast. Just let your tank have aggro. Kill them. There are elite groups, and there's one I think that heals possibly. Or he does a mind control. That's what it is. So you'll want to single target him down. I can't remember what his name is right off the top. Let me look. I might be able to find his name. Let's see here. They've got the Ghostly Stewards. They do an Enrage and a Skull Crack. It's not a Concubine. I can't remember what they're called. But anyways. There's one in there that does mind control, so you'll need to kill it first with the. It'll be a full group of elites, and then you can AOE down the rest. You don't have to clear that whole room. You want to clear most of it, and then off to the left, when you come up into that little dance hall on the left, there is a dinner area, dinner table set up. There's a group of mobs at the first table. There's some stewards on each side. There are skeletal waiters that walk around that you want to pull, and you'll want to pull both of the tables on either side, plus the table in the middle. Most of it can be AoE down. You do want to watch the skeletal waiters, as they will get you drunk, and that takes 100% of your armor away, and you take some pretty nasty damage. So you want to watch out for them. But other than that, once you clear the room, you've got Morose and 4 companions standing up there with him. Now there's an order of the ads during the Morose fight. Their important abilities. It's a suggested kill order if you have these from first to last. There's 4 of them, but you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 different people. So if you have Baroness Dorothy Millstipe, she does a mana burn. She is the one that you want to kill first. If you come across Lady,
I got a different kill order. Yeah, they said Lady Catriona Von Indy and Lady Kira Berrybuck first and say heal, followed by Baroness Dorothea Mills type because she's a mana burner.
Yeah, she burns your mana. She burns your healer's mana.
I would say I would agree with you. I think since mana burner, you need to kill that one first.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go with this order.
But what I always hear is ladies first.
Yeah. Well, the Baroness Dorothy Mills type, kill her first as a mana burner. Then you have, and now all of these can be shackled because they're undead. So you can shackle any one of these people if you have a priest with you. But Dorothy, kill her. And then you've got Lady Catriona Von Indy. She casts the Greater Heal, a Power Word Shield, and Dispel Magic. Kill her second, if she's there. Kill her first if Baroness isn't there. If Baroness or Catriona aren't there, kill Lady Kira Berrybuck. She has Holy Light, Cleanse, Divine Shield, and Blessing of Might. So if neither of the others are there, kill her first. And then once you get down to these last three guys, they're really, there's no necessarily not a kill order for them. Just kill them when you can.
Just Baron Rafe.
Baron Rafe
has a stunner.
Yeah, he has a hammer. He has Hammer of Justice and a cleanse.
Yeah.
So he might be the most important. The most important out of these three. Lord Robin Darris, he has Mortal Strike and Whirlwind. He's pretty easy. We usually, he does whatever. We spear him. And then Lord Crispin Ference, Disarm, Shield Bash, and Shield Wall. He's just a tank. That's all he is. So, the ladies, always kill the ladies first, and then go to the guys after that. Once you get those guys down, you have Morose. Now, while you're fighting those four, Morose is going to be activated. So your tanks want to get aggro on Morose as well as
both
the ad.
Both of them.
Yeah, both your tanks want to have aggro on Morose. Now, Morose has some abilities that he does throughout the fight. He does do a gouge, which incapacitates the target for up to 6 seconds. He has a blind, disorients for 10. Vanish, now he'll go stealth for a periodic time throughout the fight. It doesn't last very long, but while he's stealth, and when he after he does his vanish, he'll put a bleed on a random target. It's just a garrote. You're just going to have to heal through it. Healers are going to just have to heal through anything that he does, as far as that. Garrote doesn't hit for a whole lot, so just kind of watch the person. Usually the person that gets garrote, you put a mark on them so people know that they have the garrote and they need a little extra heal. And then he has an enrage at 30% health, he'll enrage, and it increases his damage output. So everybody knows what enrage does. He just starts hitting a little harder. Morose himself is the main threat of this fight, like I said. Talks about the periodic gouge and his blind, his vanish and garrote.
No, stone
the
form.
The garrote debuffs.
Stone form, divine shield, blessing protection, and ice block to remove garrote.
I was getting to that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Like he said, you can remove the debuffs with with divine. I mean, a lot of people use ice block. A lot of mages, ice block, blessing protection. If you're like he said, if you're a dwarf, their stone skin, it removes it. There's a lot of ways to remove it. We usually don't. I mean, if you have a way to remove it yourself, you can, but most of the time we just don't worry about it. We just heal through it.
A couple times I've been with my mage. I never got corroded, so didn't have to do anything.
It does say dealing with, like I said at the beginning, dealing with the ads at the start of the fight is the most important. You can choose some barrel control, such as Shackle, Undead, or Turn Evil. But AoE all the ads down is what it is. It's usually pretty easy. They don't do a whole lot of damage.
And usually in a fight, you can have the hunter do freezing trap.
Yeah. Now, one of the things he drops that is very that everybody wants. I haven't seen it drop yet when I'm on a character that can actually enchant, but he does drop the enchant monk, and that's a big time enchant. That's one of the main enchants. It's 120 agility for permanently to a weapon. So that's something that he drops that everybody wants. Other than that, I think the only other thing that a lot of people fight over is that Morose Lucky Pocket Watch. It does add to a dodge rating.
That's a lot of BIS in phase 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I think. So.
But yeah, for the most part, I mean, he drops some decent gear, but he's just one of those guys that you have to kill in order to progress through, uh, and be able to fight the last boss.
So after you leave his room, you go back out to the dancing area, and if you didn't clear it, then you can either choose to clear it now, or you can at least hug the wall and clear very little in order to get to the next area and go up the stairs, and then you kill a couple of groups to get to the door on the right. You go through that, and then you got a few pats in there you got to kill going down the hall. Got to be careful because there's 2 rooms on the left going down that hall that you can pull ads on, which somebody has done. And then when you get down to the end, there's 2 guards leading to Maiden of Virtue. You kill them, and you're at Maiden. Alright? Now, Tate should keep Maiden in the middle of the room where she stands. Healers and ranged DPS spread around the room to avoid chaining Holy Wrath. So there's a circle room. So all DPS before the Tates go in, hug the wall and go around the room, and they stay away from each other. So the healer should immediately dispel Holy Fire. Rain should run into Holy Ground a few seconds before Repentance is cast, so the damage will break them free. And then main tank should use defensive cooldowns after each Repentance cast. Now what we usually do is we have the healer stand in a specific area, and whenever she does Repentance, then the tank moves her over there, so her Holy Fire will actually...
No, her Consecrate. It's like
yeah.
it's Holy Ground. It's Holy Ground. But it's like
I said Holy Fire. I meant Holy Ground.
Yeah.
And so her Holy Ground will break the Repentance on them, so they can continue casting the heals. Paladins can use Blessing, Sacrifice, and Divine Shield to break free of Repentance. Shamans can use Grounding Totem to absorb Holy Fire. I didn't know that. Huh. Mages and rogues can use Ice Block and Cloak of Shadows to remove Holy Fire. Well, we hardly ever do those, as you can tell.
No.
And is there anything you want to add on that fight? I might have forgot.
I just know that the moving into the Holy Ground, it does silence you for 1 second. Every time it deals damage, and it silences you for 1 second. So if you're going to do that, just be prepared that you're going to be silenced.
And you don't want to be healer as standing in the Holy Ground, because you can't really cast because it keeps interrupting your cast.
Now, I will tell you, as a druid, going in there, I stand in it.
Because you're instant.
Yeah, so...
That's what I was about to bring up, so yeah. I'd rather you bring it up anyways, because you're a druid.
But other than that, I wouldn't... for the most part, your tank should move your tank should move her to where it breaks the healers free. Any other DPS, you're on your own.
And if you got Deadly Boss mods, there's a timer, and she's normally really good on that timer.
Yeah, really close to the timer, yeah, for sure. Now, I have done a couple of fights on her where she hasn't cast Repentance once.
Really?
Yeah, I went down there so quick.
I think we did it last week, didn't we? Or 2 weeks ago.
Well, yeah. She didn't even get Repentance out.
We were confused. We were like, she's not doing it. She's not doing. Oh, we killed her. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was just the speed that we killed her in, or if it was just a glitch, or she just didn't feel like casting it that week.
Now, if you're a healer, Shard of Virtuous drops here, which is a really good healing mace until you get to Prince.
Yep, it really is.
Then healing shaman drops their totem here too. So that's the 2 main things. And it seems like lately every one of the bosses and Kara's been dropping either tank or healing or both. Or they're both healing, or they're both taking. It's just really weird how it's been doing that.
Those mitts of the tree mender, which are leather, are best in slot phase 4 for a healing druid.
Ooh.
That's something to actually mention, because those are actually good.
Okay. Well, I think we're done.
Yeah, I think this was...
next thing is Opera, which you leave her room, go back down the hall you came from. You turn to that last area where there's people that you cleared a couple mobs. You clear a couple more up until you get into the area where the Opera event is, and we'll continue there next week. Where hopefully we'll have more news, some better news, and what we've been doing in game. We're going to both stop, and we're going to run some dungeons for rep. Get my pally, better up there. I need to get him some enchants. That's what I really need to do. If I get some enchants, I bet you he'd be a lot better.
Talk to Scott.
I sure will. Alright, so until next week, have fun playing the game.
As always.
If you would like to get a hold of us, you can email us at wowresurrected@outlook.com. This show is brought to you by Heartland Production Entertainment. If you'd like to help to make the show better, go to patreon.com/heartlandpae.